Holy fuck. I already clicked the go live and I'm already not ready. This is great. I forgot. Hold on. Forgot the most important thing.
My
All right, now we're good. I forgot to open this up. All right, we're doing a little bit of reacting today. First video, I tried breakfast at non-breakfast restaurants.
Did you know that you can order breakfast at Buffalo Wild Wings? Well, at most locations you can't, but in certain places with weird hours, restaurants like B-dubs will occasionally include breakfast
Wait,
on the
Buffalo
menu.
Wild
So in
Wings
this
does
episode of the
breakfast?
Studio Review, I'll be ordering breakfast from 6 different restaurants that don't typically serve it to see what they offer and whether it's actually worth getting. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. I've actually been trying to find a B-dubs that serves breakfast for a while now, but they're actually more elusive than I thought. Much like the other fast food oddities I cover in my videos, like KFC buffets for example, there's no centralized list on the company website of
KFC does buffets too? Hold on a minute, what?
Buffalo Wild Wings, I was able to find a PDF of nutrition facts that specifically mentions breakfast at JFK Airport. Unfortunately, the Google Maps listing was updated recently to say that they open at 11 a.m., so there was a solid chance they stopped serving breakfast. I tried calling them multiple times to ask, but no one would answer the phone. But thanks to the help of some of my Instagram followers who are traveling through JFK,
Why
I was
would
able
you
to
try to
confirm that they
call a
were in fact
restaurant
still open before 11 a.m. and serving breakfast.
an
So I made
airport?
my way to JFK,
Like,
being
they're
careful
not
to
gonna
choose the
pick up,
airline
bro.
that flies into Terminal 4 because you can't connect between terminals without leaving security. And at long last, there it was. A Buffalo Wild Wings with breakfast. A BWWWB, if you will. I got there around 8:30 a.m. and I was the only
2.6 star rating
non-employee
on
in
the
the restaurant. It's a seat yourself
restaurant is
sort of
crazy.
situation, and on the back of the seat yourself sign is the sign that says breakfast available here. They had this little airport patio, which is such a funny concept to me, but when I tried to go sit out there, they shouted at me, so that was cool. So instead, I got a seat by the window overlooking the tarmac. You order using a QR code on the table, and the 3 main breakfast options were an American breakfast, a breakfast wrap, and a breakfast sandwich. I went with the American
I feel like it
breakfast,
wouldn't
which
be
comes with
good.
eggs, breakfast meat,
Like,
and
if you
toast.
ordered
Options
breakfast
for
at
customization were fairly
a restaurant
limited.
like
All you
that.
could really choose was whether you wanted bacon or sausage. I figured you'd at least be able to choose like what type of toast you wanted or maybe how you wanted your eggs. But I realized that maybe it's possible they're making these with like a carton of egg liquid, in which case it would be pretty difficult to make a sunny side up egg. I really wanted to commit to the bit and
He's
order
expecting
wings
too
as a
much.
side, but the smallest number you could get was 10 and it was like 22 bucks. So I just stuck with the bacon and eggs. In terms of beverages, there weren't a ton of options available.
Getting to order
Wrong,
wings for breakfast is crazy.
menu, including a mimosa, but just not like what I would consider traditional breakfast beverages like coffee or orange juice. Although I assume they'd have to have orange juice back there in order to make the mimosa, right? I don't know. So I ended up getting a Diet Pepsi, which felt like a mistake, but I didn't know what else to get. Once the food came out, I was pleasantly surprised
Why
to
wouldn't
find
you
out
go
that
with the
this meal
strawberry
also
lemonade?
included
There was
beer
an option
puffs.
for
Bacon was
strawberry
super
lemonade.
gooey.
Hold
That's what I really
on.
like. And I honestly couldn't tell whether these were real eggs or not. Probably made with egg liquid, but definitely higher quality than the powdered egg stuff you'd find on a hotel breakfast buffet. The toast came with little packets on the side, and there was ketchup for the tater tots, but I'm more of a hot sauce man myself. The bartender brought me out Tabasco, but took the cap with him. Do you guys think that's like an airport security thing? Like if I don't have a cap, maybe I'm less likely to take this bottle of Tabasco on a plane with me? I don't know. In terms of quality, everything was actually pretty solid. Keep in mind this did cost $20, but I think the bacon and eggs were just much higher quality than I was expecting. And honestly, so were the tater tots and the toast. Just as a side note, it's impossible for me to take a bite of toast without my mind quoting that scene from Nacho Libre where he's like, "Good toast." Also really, really difficult for me not to say that out loud after someone gives a toast at a wedding. Good toast.
This is peak. That's a peak movie. Nacho Libre is
I'm a
great.
huge fan of a good breakfast scramble. All right, so obviously I'm not only interested in what these restaurants have to offer, but the quality as well.
The
So
the
criteria
breakfast
I'm
did look
using to
banging though,
judge the
I will
breakfasts
say.
is simple. Given other options, would I go back to this place for breakfast in the future? Like if I'm flying through JFK in the morning, would I go out of my way to go to Buffalo Wild Wings
He
as
better
opposed
say
to like
no.
any of the other restaurants they
He's
have
gotta
to offer
say
for
no.
breakfast? And I think I'd say yes. I mean, $20
What?
is probably as good as you're gonna find in an airport for a plated breakfast, non-sandwich category. I would have loved a little more customization or some better breakfast drinks, but at least you know you definitely won't have to wait for a table here. Because of the nature of my content, I get a decent number of comments asking about my health, and the truth is that when I'm not filming for an episode, I'm paying close attention to how I fuel my body and making sure I'm not waiting to see a doctor when things feel off. This year specifically, I want to get back into the habit of seeing
We
a
got
primary
the
care
ad.
physician, and
We
that's why I'm
got the
thankful to partner
ad
with
coming
ZocDoc,
in.
who's the sponsor of this episode. ZocDoc is a free website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states. I typically drag my feet when it comes to making appointments because in the past I've been told that a doctor's earliest availability was months down the road. And when I finally got in front of a doctor, I didn't feel like he really listened to my concerns. But with ZocDoc, not only can you see a provider's real-time availability and click to instantly book an appointment,
Has anybody
you can also
ever
view
actually
thousands of
used
verified patient
this
reviews to give
service?
you a
Like
real sense of who your doctor is, so you can feel confident that you can
I
book
see
with
it
a doctor you
advertised all the
feel.
time, but I've
Booking
never
appointments
heard
with
of anybody
ZocDoc
actually
happens
using
fast,
it.
typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. No phone tag, no waiting around. And whether you're looking for dermatology, dentistry, primary care, eye care, or one of the other 200 plus specialties offered on ZocDoc, you can easily search by specialty or symptom to build the care team that's right for you. Want to see a doctor in person? No problem. Prefer a video visit? You can do that too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Sam Reid or click the link in the description to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sam Reid, spelled R-E-I-D. And thanks again to ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. I'm sure some of you have wondered at this point, are all these restaurants going to be in airports? And I'm going to level with you. If a non-breakfast place is serving breakfast, 9 times out of 10, it is going to be in an airport, but not always. So for my next stop, I'm headed to Arby's in Front Royal, Virginia.
Arby's? Is it
I don't know
also
about
in
you
an
guys, but I'm like,
airport?
wait,
Does Arby's
normally
sell
serve breakfast? We excluded them from the Fast Food
breakfast?
Gauntlet Breakfast Edition because our local Arby's doesn't serve it. So I mistakenly assumed that Arby's doesn't serve breakfast anywhere. But some locations do
Oh,
in
it
fact have it.
does.
So shout out to Robert who emailed me about this specific location in Front Royal. Despite their Google Maps listing saying they open at 10, I called to confirm that they do in fact serve breakfast starting at 7 a.m., which was further reinforced by this sign out front. I pulled up around 9:20 a.m. and I was once again the only patron in the establishment, so not super confidence inspiring.
Bro,
Then again, B-Dubs was...
I swear on God, Arby's has to be like a laundering front. It has to be. I never see anybody parked there. I never see anybody parked there. I never see anybody inside. Like, this is the only footage that I'm seeing is somebody like actually walking in and ordering from an Arby's. Nobody I know personally. Like, how are they in business? I'm confused.
crowded either, and their breakfast was fine. The breakfast menu at Arby's mostly consisted of breakfast sandwiches with one wrap on there, and then a sausage gravy biscuit and some French toast sticks. And unlike B-Dubs, they had both coffee and orange juice on the menu. They had
Yo,
some
French
apple
toast
turnovers out
sticks.
under a warmer, but those are actually part of the regular menu. at
That sounds
locations
so
don't
good
serve
right now.
breakfast, so I passed on those. I ended up getting a number 3 combo, so the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit meal, which comes with 2 potato cakes and a coffee. I also kind of panic ordered a sausage gravy biscuit. I don't know why. My food came out on this elliptical tray, but to be honest, maybe that's
Sausage
normal
gravy
for dine-in orders
biscuit?
at Arby's. I don't really eat at Arby's all that often, so I have no idea. I'll have to ask my friend Brinson, who loves Arby's. I would describe the bacon, egg, and cheese as fine. To their credit, the biscuit was really soft and flaky, and also to their credit, they gave me an extra potato cake.
You know, I wanted to keep this comment to myself, but never mind. What do you mean by your friend loves Arby's? He's lying. He has to be. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second.
These were little triangles, and they were actually really good. Fluffier than a McDonald's hash brown, but still pretty crunchy. I moved on to the sausage biscuit and discovered that they gave me way more gravy than any one man.
Oh,
After I
fuck.
poured it on the biscuit, I still had at least 75% of this cup left. And upon further inspection, it looked like the sausage in the gravy was just cut up patties from the sandwiches as opposed to sausage crumbles made specifically for the gravy. This isn't an item I eat on a super regular basis, and despite tasting good, it was one of those foods that just makes you feel kind of gross and bloated as you're eating it. And to be fair, that's kind of what I signed up for by going to Arby's for breakfast. Overall, this meal felt less greasy than breakfast from McDonald's or Hardee's. So would I go out of my way to get this again? I don't think so. I think if I want this type
Thank
of food,
God.
Hardee's has way more breakfast options that are pretty reliable.
Even more
if
proof.
They are a little greasier. And if we're talking fast food breakfast in general, when given the option between this and Taco Bell breakfast, I would choose Taco Bell 10 times out of 10. As I walked back to my car, I had an epiphany that what I should have done was curly fries for breakfast. You got to think about what makes Arby's unique. So roast beef and curly fries. And I'm out on roast beef for breakfast, but if you threw curly fries into a breakfast burrito or something, that would have gone so hard. All right, next up.
Wait, he's cooking. He's cooking with that. Curly fries in a breakfast burrito? I might have to try that.
We're headed to get breakfast at Five Guys.
Five Guys?
This Five Guys is located.
It has a
on
4.0?
the Atlanta airport. There's a big banner hanging up advertising their breakfast, and from the looks of it, their breakfast sandwiches are made with their regular hamburger buns. So if I'm understanding this correctly, if you're in Australia or the UK, that would technically make this an egg burger. But to my point about curly fries, I guess the fries from Five Guys are kind of like a stand-in for breakfast potatoes. They have a little panel added to the side of their normal menu board with their breakfast options, and you can get a few different types of breakfast sandwiches and even add a burger patty if you want. And then to drink, you can get coffee or orange.
$2.95 to add a burger patty to your breakfast sandwich?
Stereotypes about both airports and Five Guys, I would say that the prices were pretty.
In an airport? That's not bad.
Hamburger bun, you're paying $8. I'm guessing that probably costs them like $1 to make, so they're out there selling it at like 700% profit. I ordered a bacon, egg, and cheese, which was
$8 egg sandwich is kind of crazy.
Cold brew, but she told me that they didn't have any lids for their cold brew cups. I didn't know for sure that I was going to finish it before I got on my flight, so I decided to do a fountain drink instead, which they did have lids for. This was definitely an interesting experience. I feel like because it's a bun, mentally I was expecting something.
Wait, I just realized something. This guy is going to these airports to eat breakfast. Is he just like same day flying in, having breakfast, and then flying out? Or is it like a 2-for-1? Like he made plans, stayed a couple days? Like what's going on here?
Hearty in the middle, but instead you get a thin layer of egg and then the bacon and cheese. So at first it just felt like it was mostly bread. But by the time I got to the middle of the sandwich, it had won me over. Still a little bit on the greasy side for my preference, but pretty tasty. And I liked that the cheese was super melty. I think if I were to go back, I would love to try their cold brew.
That's a cheese pool.
Add a burger patty to the bacon, egg, and cheese to get kind of like a breakfast burger experience. And I'd also love to try the Cajun fries. For some reason, that sounds really good with breakfast. Granted, if I were to order all of that, it would set me back something like $24, which is frankly offensive for breakfast. So
damn,
would I go
$24?
What the fuck?
On the
fence, but I'm gonna say probably not. I'd much rather grab a breakfast bowl, which is by far one of the best things at our next stop.
Qdoba.
This specific Qdoba is located in Concourse B of the Denver airport. If you've watched any of my old videos, I actually went there in a video about the Denver airport like 3 years ago. And even though I'm headed back to yet another airport, I do think that there are non-airport Qdobas that serve breakfast. And this is one of my biggest gripes with the restaurant industry. When I'm trying to find something like a KFC buffet or a Qdoba that serves breakfast, there's no way to search for them. I typically have to find a specific location on Google Maps and either call them, or a lot of times I'll go to the reviews.
I don't think that's like a popular thing that people search for though, so like it wouldn't be something that they're just gonna like advertise like that. Maybe locally, but not like online.
By newest, and then search for the thing I'm looking for, like buffet or breakfast. And a lot of times you'll find a review that's like, wish they hadn't gotten rid of the buffet, but if you're lucky, you might find a recent picture that shows that they still have the thing you're looking for. It would be infinitely easier if on the company website where they list all the locations, there was just some sort of filter where you could check a box that says like serves breakfast or has a buffet. So if you work for a restaurant,
okay, open late is like a one that would be popular that they could do.
That still serve breakfast. breakfast, and KFC and Pizza Hut could do that for locations that have buffets. It would be so helpful. Okay, back to the Qdoba in the Denver airport, and this is actually where Mike and I went for breakfast after finishing the Taco Bell 50K the day before. And much like their lunch and dinner offerings, their breakfast includes both burritos and bowls, and it's super customizable. So I got potatoes, eggs, chorizo, spicy queso, pico, shredded cheese, and guac.
The
You can also
spicy
choose to get
queso
chicken instead of
has to
chorizo.
go
And then
hard.
to drink, I got a Nantucket Nectar's orange juice. They also had coffee available. And here's the thing, I love breakfast bowls. More restaurants should be doing this. Taco Bell used to have this little egg and potato breakfast bowl in their tiny little cups, but they got rid of that. And I've argued in the past that they should do one that's the size of their Power Bowl with eggs, sausage, potatoes, pico, guac, and shredded
Taco
cheese.
Bell does a
Instead, it
Power
just seems to me
Bowl?
They got rid of breakfast at over half of their locations, so that's cool. For this particular
Since
bowl, I would say
when?
that the quality was good, not great. The eggs seemed like pretty low quality, and the chorizo wasn't quite as good as I remembered, so maybe the chicken would have been the better choice. I've honestly been sleeping on chicken as a breakfast meat, but I'm finally starting to come around. Although in my opinion, the meat at Qdoba is generally lower quality than the meat at Chipotle. I do think the spicy queso was kind of the star of the show here. Even though the quality at Qdoba wasn't necessarily as good as I
Fire.
remembered, when it comes
The
to whether or
one
not
thing I
I'd
was
go out of my
most
way to
excited
eat
about
this,
was
it's
the one
still a
thing he said was the
resounding yes
star of
for
the
me.
show.
At $11.67, this felt super reasonably priced, especially for an airport, and it makes me sad that Qdobas that serve breakfast are so hard to find. All right, next we're gonna make a quick stop for breakfast at Jersey Mike's, and I'll tell you right off the bat, this is not worth your time.
Nobody likes going to a sub
This
shop
one
for
is in
breakfast.
Concourse
They're
A,
never
Washington
good.
Dulles, and they have a very limited menu with basically 4 slight variations of the same sandwich served on a sub roll. When I asked, they told me that pork roll was salami, which did not sound super appetizing for breakfast, so even though it's labeled as a Jersey favorite, I went with the sausage, egg, and cheese. And that was a whopping $15.40. Not a lot of great drink options. They have coffee listed on the menu, or I guess you could get something from their refrigerated section, like a Celsius or a smoothie. To be fair, they did use real eggs, but that wasn't enough to make up for how not great the rest of the sandwich was. The sausage felt pretty low quality, like the patties that you'd find in a school cafeteria, and just
It
way
looks
too much bread. And I
greasy,
think it could
bro.
have benefited from
It
like a hot
looks
sauce
so
or an
bad.
aioli or something. And I assumed that I'd get to walk down the counter and pick stuff like tomatoes to go on it, like you normally do at Jersey Mike's, but they just wrapped it up and handed it to me as is. So would I go out of my way to get Jersey Mike's breakfast in the future? The verdict here is a resounding no. All right, for our final stop, we're headed back to the Atlanta airport, this time to Concourse A to visit p.fchangs.
What are they gonna serve? I'm like genuinely
If
curious.
you watch my video about airport food, I saw this sign and kind of wondered what breakfast at p.fchangs would even be like, so I was excited to finally get to try it. You have to go up an escalator to get to the restaurant, and it wasn't super crowded when I got there around 8:45 a.m. The breakfast options at p.fchangs were a Mongolian hash,
Kinda nice.
classic breakfast with eggs, bacon, and potatoes, breakfast fried rice, and then some breakfast cocktails. At first, I
Whoa.
was just trying to get
Wait,
breakfast
breakfast
they, like,
fried rice
ran out
sounds
of
good
the
as
classic
shit.
one, but I figured when in Rome, etc., etc. So I ordered the Mongolian hash, and here they do ask you how you want your eggs. So I asked for them sunny side
He
up.
didn't
And
get
I also
it.
got an
He
orange
didn't
juice.
get
So I
it.
gotta hand it
No.
Besides maybe Qdoba, this is probably the
Ooh.
best example of extending the style or the theme of the menu to their breakfast offerings. Like the B-Dubs breakfast could have been served anywhere, and the execution of the breakfast sandwiches at Five Guys and Jersey Mike's wasn't really anything to write home about, but this was both super appetizing and distinctively p.fchangs. And I'll preface this by saying that the Mongolian hash was really good, but as I started eating, I realized that it was basically a beef and vegetables dinner entree with some potatoes underneath and an egg on top. At $18.50, it's a little pricey, but less than what I paid for at B-Dubs and just
$18.50 for that?
but I'm assuming that's
Whoa.
because we were past TSA. I'd be interested in trying the classic breakfast next time, but overall this is definitely something I'd go out of my way to eat in the future. Also, I feel like if you need a quiet place
Gotta
to
remember,
sit,
it's
there
an
are a couple
airport.
benches right
It's an
outside
airport.
p.fchangs. Maybe not the most comfortable,
But, like,
they're
still.
definitely off the beaten path. Let me know in the comments if there are other non-breakfast places you've seen serving breakfast. And if there are enough, maybe I can make a part 2 to this video. There were actually a ton of suggestions in the comments of my trademark infringement video, and I'm hoping to make a follow-up to that video as well. So thanks for those suggestions, and thanks again to everyone who sent me leads for this episode. And hey, this is the start of season 10 of the Studio Review, so welcome if you're new here. I do a couple seasons a year, and it's hard for me to believe that I've already been doing this show for 5 years now. I started with the goal of making life feel a little bit lighter, and I feel like the world feels especially especially dark and heavy right now, so it can feel a little silly to be talking about breakfast foods when there are much more important things going on. But I'm still hoping that this can be a place where you can take a load off and get a break from all of that for just a few minutes. And I hope that you can find joy and whimsy in the small things like a Qdoba that serves breakfast. So even when things do feel heavy or dark, I'm going to try to keep believing that eventually it's going to be okay. I'll see you soon.
That was great. I will say, best one or best looking p.fchangs for sure. I wasn't expecting it, but god damn, it looked good. Fuck. I want to try it. I want it. All right, let's head on to the next.